Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. First of all, Ramadan Kareem, Mubarak Saeed to all of us celebrated. I hope you guys find some sort of peace and some sort of joy in these Ramadan, where we're spending it very differently for sure compared to previous years. So whether be it you're alone or you're spending it in self-isolation, quarantine, social distancing, wherever you are, I hope that you still find its essence, and I hope that this journey of Ramadan as we know it will do you a lot of good and will improve your faith and your relationship with Allah and with your loved ones and with your community, even if it's different, maybe virtual, a bit more virtual with a bit more distancing. We're all adapting and you're definitely not alone. Next, I want to say a huge thank you for your amazing responses on my previous video about social distancing. I will leave it for you here if you haven't watched it, but it was like this mini vlog and some books recommendation, and you guys have been amazing. The messages I received, you have no idea what they mean to me. They were so full of love, compassion, support, just genuine love. And when I think about it, I haven't met most of you, right? You really don't know me as a full-on person other than what I show you here, but you still seem so genuine, and I feel that your prayers and your good-hearted wishes do actually help me in life, and they've always been. So whenever something really good happens to me, or like I take a leap of faith and it turns out well, I'm like, oh, those are my grandma's prayer, my parents' prayer, and probably all the people that really wish me well, which are you guys. And thank you so much for that. It's really lovely and it's beyond my words, and I can only tell you how much that means to me. As of today's topic, it's the books I've read in March and April, so it's a little wrap-up video. I've read 11 books during these 2 months. I feel like in the beginning of the lockdown, I've been reading so much more because it was a coping mechanism, I guess. But since this was going on for a while and has been going on for a while, I feel like I was starting to read less and force myself to actually read less, just in order to have days that have structure. So work in the morning, work on my research in the afternoon, work out, speak to my family and friends online, go for walks. And yeah, so I was like, Sophia, you cannot just sit and read all day. So yeah, I read less lately, but I want to share these books with you, and I hope you will also again find some recommendations for yourselves during these times where we are still kind of locked down. Okay guys, so the first book I read in March was a book I actually mentioned in my social distancing video, and that is a romance, Love from A to Z by S.K. Ali. So this is, as I said, a Muslim love story. It's very light, very quirky. It's about Zainab and Ali that meet, and Adam that meet in the airport and travel to Qatar, and so we just see how their relationship developed from there. And they both come from families with kind of hardships and different things they deal with, and out of it comes this friendship first, really, and this really quirky, kind of sweet story, and it's really full of values and standing up for yourself, standing up for things. But it's not something crazy or a book that is just amazing. It's just that was one of my peeves now. I just love to read stories about Muslim teenagers or love stories, Muslim love stories in general, and that was one of them. But it was really light and very very sweet, and something you can read in one sitting. So that one was for this. The next one is also one I mentioned in my other social distancing video, and that is Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. So this is a middle grade fantasy book, and it's about Morgan Crow, who was born in this day, and she is cursed. So she's a cursed child, and she grew up in this family and in this environment where whenever something bad happened to anyone, it was because of her, and so she had to always write letters to people apologizing, even if it's not really her, just because she was believed to be a cursed child. And all these children are usually expected to die on their 11th birthday, but on the eve of her birthday, when everyone was expecting her to die, she is swiped away to this land called Nevermore by this Jupiter guy who starts to be her mentor, and he takes her to this place where there are giant cats and flying umbrellas and so many fantastical elements and magical elements, and he's trying to get her to this wondrous society, which is a very selective society where only very prodigious kids and children go, and she has no powers, so she doesn't really know what she's doing there, and we just like follow her trying to figure out this entire Nevermore thing, and it's so nice, it's so much fun. I love this book so incredibly much. It really takes you away and takes your mind off so many things. It's so full of magic, the characters are so sweet, and it's so wholesome and so whimsical, and just you care for them, and there's this trials element, so it's a competition with different stages and you really are rooting for Morgan. Yeah, so I would highly recommend it, especially during these times. Next is another very sweet read I read. This was the beginning of the lockdown, so I was like really reading super fluffy things, and that is the Thunderbeakers of 141st Street by Karina Jan Glasser. This is also a middle grade book. By the way, on BookTube, March is usually middle grade March, so people read a lot of middle grade books, and I don't read much of them. Maybe Harry Potter is one of the very few I read, and so when I started reading them, I really realized how much I enjoyed them. So this is about a family, and mainly a group of siblings, and it takes place around Christmas, and their landlord is not renewing their contract, and they've always grown up in this house that is their home, and they love it, so they try to come up with these plans to change their landlord's mind. And oh my god, it's so sweet. It's such a family oriented book. It's very short, but it's so warm, not only because it takes place in Christmas, but the relationship and all the interaction between the siblings is such a wholesome relationship. It really makes you miss your family if you're not with them, but it makes you just feel so warm and so cozy, and you know, just lit a little fire in your heart. And as I always say, that's what the heart of the reader needs. Yes, I would really highly recommend this one. It's one you can read in one sitting and just be taken by the power of family and kindness and sweetness, and yeah, everything good that would make you happy and jump. This one is for you. Next is very different. It's a book that's written by a, I don't want to say something I'm not sure about, because is she a Buddhist monk? Yes, I think she's a monk, and she's Pema Chodron, and this book is When Things Fall Apart, Hard Advice for Difficult Times. So the author is a very known monk, so she gives a lot of lectures and a lot of talks, and it's all about meditation and being in the present moment. And when I read this book, I really needed it a lot, and I feel like we can all use something like this during these times, and especially in the beginning of this entire thing. So it's just like advice on how to keep yourself grounded and rooted in the now, how to alleviate suffering, things about the meaning of suffering and what we do with it as a concept and how we move forward with it, how meditation, of course, is something you can really use during difficult times, and just how to be patient with yourself, to be accepting of emotions. And what I felt with this book is that while I was reading it, it felt very meditative. So the act itself of reading it felt very grounding for me. So whenever I would reach for it and read it, I would really forget about whatever was going on with me. And I'm someone that feels so much and is so emotion driven and such an empath. So I really, when I was reading this, it would just like ground me back in the moment and be like, okay, I am here now, I am not there, I am here. And it was really beautiful and really helpful. So I would actually really recommend this one now. Yeah. Next is a graphic novel for all of my introverts fellows out there, and that is Quiet Girl in a Noisy World, an introvert story. This is such a wholesome little graphic novel. The art is amazing and it's very simple. It just depicts the life of an introvert, from the relationships you have to build at work or at university, especially in a corporate setting that sometimes can be very overwhelming for us introverts. It also talks about how introverts introverts use time to actually explore their creativity and their creative mind, and like how we recharge as people, how we deal with our friendships or relationship. The main character here like is married and her husband is like such an extrovert, but like they form this super nice unit, and it's just like so full of super nice art, and I could relate to absolutely every single one of these things. Like she hid on her wedding day to just be away from all the fuss, and that's something I would so much do. Like I can even tell you the number of times when I was a kid or even teenager or even now when my family would organize birthdays for me or something, and there would be so many people, you know, typical Moroccan house parties, and I would just like hide on the bathroom just to have like, and I mean I've always done this. I still do that even sometimes at work when I just need a moment. I would just go to the bathroom and like sit there and be like, I need to just recharge. But yeah, that's such a sweet things that I relate to, and all of you introverts would relate to that. Next book is, wow, another middle grade. I actually did good on middle grade March. I am happy. And that is The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. This is also fantasy middle grade, and it's about this village where they have to sacrifice a kid every year to this witch, and so it's always the younger kid in the village that's given to this witch and left in this forest. However, in this one, the witch is not bad. The witch is amazing. So she never asked anyone to put any kids, so we're gonna discover, of course, in the political plot why these kids are left there, but she always have been taking these kids, and she took them to this very far away village to other families that would love them and cherish them and have them grow into really fulfilled individuals, and she always sprinkles a bit of magic into these kids, until this one time she not only sprinkled a bit of magic but completely gave the moon, a bit of moonlight to this little girl to drink, and she starts having these amazing powers. And so we see her growing up, and we see the witch trying to teach her how to tame and control her magical power. There is a talking dragon, there is a talking book, there are so many magical creatures, and it's so full of magic, and it's very, very folkloric. There is a very, very pronounced folkloric elements to it, so so much of storytelling, of legends, and it's beautiful, so magical. Once again, I loved it. It's so beautifully written, and I will really highly recommend it if you want to start reading middle grade, or if you just want a bit more magic. There you go again. Next book is a French book. Oh my god, I love this book. It's called Rupture, Tarot et Confiture by Céline Holinsky. That's translated into breakup, tarot, and jelly? This is so funny. So it's about this girl that's going through this breakup and how she is just coming out of it. I could really relate to this. And it's really, really, really funny. Like, the numbers of time I laughed out loud with this. It really reads like a French comedy. The main character, she's so incredibly relatable. She's so real. I love the writing. Like this, it's written by a scenarist, so you can really feel that this author writes a lot for the screen, because this reads like a French comedy, and French comedies are my favorite kind of comedies. It was so funny. So if you're a French reader, please pick this one up, because you're gonna laugh out loud and your heart will feel so good. It's so nice. You will relate, you will feel so much compassion and empathy with her, and you will feel so much with her loves, like with her story as a whole, and you will root for her. And you know, it's one of these books that helps you create this very, very beautiful reader main character relationship. That one was of them. I will highly recommend this for a very good laugh, a very good time, and a very, very good set of emotions. Next is The Immortal List by Chloe Benjamin. Now this one is much heavier than all of the ones I said before. So this is about these 4 siblings that go and see this fortune teller when they're young in the summer of '69, and she tells them the date of their death, and from there on we follow their lives and how each of them really took this information and made a life with it, And whoa, this is so thought-provoking. Like, how would you live if you knew the date of your death? It explores the intersections between life, fate, and death. Like, how would you live if you know versus not know? And how is just knowledge, just the fact that you know, even if it's maybe not something you believe in, just knowing that will change what you seek in life, what you go after, how you treat the people around you, and how it can play with your head and, yeah, just take you places that you either want to go to or places that you don't really want to go to. And so these siblings really react to it differently, and we follow them separately, and this book is so heavy. So if you want to read something like that and really ask questions and really go deep into what this life means, and it's funny because it's really I feel that and I wrote it here, like, it uses death, the concept of death, as a highlighter to highlight the concept of life. So yeah, it's basically that highlighting life, and I think it's really a nice one to read. I also really love the colors of the cover, but it's a heavy one, so if you don't want to go too deep into that, especially during these times, maybe you can pick it up later. Next was a YA, and it was a mistake. That's Summer of Salt by Catherine Leno. It's about these twins that live in this island, and they are from a family where all the women have always had magical powers, and one of the twins her power don't show, and technically by your 18th birthday your power should show. I was expecting so much from it. Like, I was expecting magic and whimsy, and it was there, but it was again so full of stereotypes, so full of, like, I would be reading, I'm like, oh my god, the dialogue was so like cliche, and you know, that takes me back with the problems I have with YA. I have nothing against YA, and some of them were good, but most of the YA I read, most of them, like with the exception of 3 or like 2 that I really loved, is that it's just too cliche, too stereotypical, too cringy at times. Like, oh my god, just, I don't know, get over yourself or something like that. And I felt the same with this one, and I thought the premise was good, but the execution was just really not good for, like, I didn't like this book at all, and I felt very detached from it. And that's when I know, like, when I really feel zero attachment with a book, yeah. So my attempt at finding magic with this one failed, but I'm not complaining because my attempt with all of the other ones was really good. And finally, the book I just finished 2 days ago is Eleanor, Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. Oh my god, this book is so nice. You know, it reminds me a lot of a man called Ovi. We follow the life of Eleanor Oliphant, who's almost 30, and she lives a very monotone life. She has her routine, she goes to work, she comes back, her weekend she just watches TV. She's very lonely, she doesn't have any family or any friends, and we find out that it's because of a traumatic event that happened to her and that really changed her life. But then someone comes into her life from work and really changed it and turned it upside down, and she really finally realized that even if she thought she was happy, she was not, that routine was not good, and she's really taking full-on control of her life and going on. And this book is so good at exploring mental health, trauma, and how far acts of kindness can go. Really, during these times, I think it's a very fitting option because Eleanor clearly has been battling that traumatic thing, and because she was so alone, she never knew it, because, you know, some things need external interventions. And yeah, once she started to open up to the world, amazing, lovely things happen. And it only took one kind of kindness from one character that I loved. Like, he was basically the metaphor portraying kindness. And there's a line that really cuts deep through you, and it says that loneliness is the new cancer. It just explores like loneliness and how taboo it is in our society, and how, you know, when you're like, you're looked at weird, and it's really beautiful. But it finishes with such a high, hopeful note. I loved it, and I think you should give it a try. So yeah guys, those were the books I've read. I hope you find some recommendations for you. Once again, thank you so much for sticking around. Thank you so much for being here. Comment down below what's one book I should read during this time, or one book that you read recently that really cheered you up or made you think or made you happy. Something that just, you know, just made you feel things that only you can feel and only you can judge. And yeah, with that being said, please guys, stay safe, stay healthy, show kindness, show love, be happy, or try to at least, because it's hard for all of us. Believe me guys, I'm smiling right now and you think, oh look at this girl, she's so positive. You can only know about the breakdowns I have throughout the days, so this is just because I want to give you positive energy, and obviously I'm not gonna sit here and cry and have a breakdown, because this is not the kind of vibes I want to take out on you guys or that I want to send out to the world. And yeah, I'm sending you so much love, and be blessed always.